Hello patrons, and welcome back to my first build of the new Sopwith Camel. Okay, so I got this this kit off Debbie from Christmas, and it's kind of like I'd mentioned Debbie that I'd kind of like this this kit, and we spoke about it, but I never actually thought I was going to receive it. So it was a nice surprise on Christmas morning. So like I say, it's a massive kit. It's a 1/16 scale. It's going to come in at a width of 530, a length of 360. And a height 160. But like I say, as you can see from just the box art, just from these pictures here, it's absolute. It looks like it's going to be an absolute work of art. And it actually says it's a museum quality. And like I say, if I can kind of do it justice, then hopefully it will be museum quality. But like I say, we'll get this. Well, first of all, I'll start by saying this kit, if you're interested, it's obviously by Artesania Latina. This is not the first Artesania Latina kit I've ever built. I built one around about 20 years ago for the HMS Endeavour. That's kind of still need finishing, but I built the hull, and that's kind of where you're going to get the overall idea of the overall quality. And like I say, this kit, I think this kit comes in around about £250, so it's not the cheapest kit in the world, but it's kind of, you compare it to like a partware that you build over 2 years, it's going to cost you around about £1,500. Yeah, the quality speaks for itself. So we'll get this open, so we're going to kind of have a look what's in the box. Okay, so first of all, when I opened this, I had a quick look before, I was a little bit daunted by the die cast part, just because the die cast on the Yamato is not the greatest. But just obviously taking a look at the work on these ones, I think it's looking more to like the die cast parts that I used to build on the GJH low gauge trains kits. It looks a lot better quality, so that's kind of put all my fears a little bit of ease. So we get kind of 4 parts of these. It's pretty much going to make up most of all the propeller detail, all the propeller housing, obviously all the landing gear sections as well, and then obviously there's some more parts like the oil tank, just some different levers and whatnot. So that's that. So like I said, we got 4 parts, 4 little packages of die cast, and then we get these photo etch parts. And like I say, the quality looks really good. Yeah, like I say, you can understand sometimes where you kind of pay the money, and this is what you expect. Yeah, but the photo etching looks amazing. So that's one pack of that, and then we get all these sections as well. And this is mainly going to be pretty much the entire fuselage and wing section as well. So like I say, it's very similar to like a wooden obviously wooden plank and frame kit, but obviously the difference is pretty much everything's kind of all laser cut. It's like obviously when you're kind of doing the ribs of a ship, you kind of put the ribs on, then you have to like cut all the plank in and everything to length. But from what I've seen so far, is I pretty much think that everything is the case of it being like a laser cut part, obviously taken out and then glued together. So like I say, it shouldn't be the same time frame that it'd take me to build a wooden ship. I'm still assuming it maybe take me the best part of this year, but like I say, it's going to be joking. But I'm going to obviously, like I say, building it obviously beside Victory and obviously Yamato as well. But this is going to be exclusive to Patreon. I wanted an exclusive Patreon build. This is going to be this. The final release will go onto the internet some point in the year, but it'll just be a really edited down, probably an half an hour long video, and that'll just get released in one big section. Yeah, so this is going to be more like obviously me talking through the step-by-step instructions like I do when I'm doing major picture build. So also I'll get these out, put it to one side. Oh, we get some we do get a few planking. So yeah, like I say, if you compare that to there's only one length a bundle of strips of wood that we're going to have to cut. So yeah, so there's not going to be loads and loads of cutting and shaping. So I'm just going to put this to one side. So I'm just printing out the instructions. You get the instructions on the DVD, which is obviously quite strange because obviously I don't have a DVD player anymore on this computer, so I had to kind of take it downstairs, put it onto Debbie's computer, obviously transfer the file over to a memory stick, and then I brought it up here. And I've just printed out the instructions just because it's easier, obviously because I've got a free computer screen, because obviously this is the one set up for my OBS. So I'm just printing out this is step 1. There's 46 steps in the build altogether, and this is step 1. And there's actually I think there's 13 parts to step 1. It kind of shows you just how how long it's going to take. Okay, so first of all in here, I think we're going to be making, step one, we're going to be making the jig. So pretty much it's going to be very similar to if you ever built the one of the launches on the HMS Victory, where you kind of glue all the parts, all the ribs, all the bulkhead ribs into the like the jig, and then you cut it off at the bottom. I think it's pretty much the same as we're going to do with this. And I just we need a little. It says we need a little square, so I've just made myself up a little square. Just use my new table saw to make this square. Like I say, I mean, I was going to order one, but you know, this time of year waiting for three or four days, and cost around about £10 for a good square. So yeah, I just made myself a little 2-inch square. It took about 10 minutes and cost me nothing. Okay, so I've opened up the the first part that kind of came with all these sections in, and one of the first parts we've got a slight curve on it. It's okay. It's expected. It's been wrapped in a bit of cling film for probably since it was packed up. But the first thing we need is this fuselage jig. Okay, so I'll just cut out the first part of the jig. There's about 3 or 4 more parts to make up this jig, so what I'm going to do is obviously I'll just cut them off camera, because let's say just cutting out a jig, and then we'll come back. Well, first of all, I'll just put a bit of my drink on there and just use it as a bit of a weight. Okay, so I'll just cut all out other parts I need just to make this jig, and also I've just brought across these 2 little strips of 3x3, and these are 300mm long. So like I say, this is like the first time of obviously going back to just working from plans, and this is one of the reasons when I kind of wanted to get back into modelling 3 years ago, that I kind of went back and did the HMS Victory part work, because when I brought out the plans for the HMS Endeavour that I was going to complete then, I started looking at these plans. Obviously, I mean, they're kind of designed that you have to be an experienced model maker, that you kind of just, you know what's kind of going. It's a bit like building an airfist kit, so you kind of get a little bit of demonstration, but you pretty much have to kind of wing it yourself and kind of go by your own own skills and your own experience. So pretty much all I'm going to do to start with is we get these 2 3x3s, and it just kind of tells you all we've got to do is kind of glue these either side, just one on this side, one on that side. And then pretty much once we turn it over, it's just going to act as a kind of a bit of a base. So they tell you to use super glue, but like I say, I just kind of prefer just wood glue. So I'm kind of just going to paint on the bottom of this one. And then we're just going to kind of sort rim up down this side. And just kind of popping on there. So I'm just going to take some of these little mini pegs that I use all the time. I'm just going to put about 3 on. And what this will do is also take away that little bit of the warp in the jig. Like I said, there's no set measurements to follow. It's just kind of a case you just have to run a piece down either side of this jig fuselage. So just glue on another one. Just pop this on this side. Like I say, just offering it up, I'm just trying to get it. I mean, like I say, you don't have to, but a little bit of OCD in me that I have to kind of like get them looking like the same either side. The best you can. Okay, so there, let's put another one just in there, just help take that warp out. Okay, so that's that first section glued in. So now we're going to take this jig tail ailerons. I've just been working on them on the Spitfire build. I don't think I pronounced them right that time. And that's just going to get glued just on there, and also kind of glued into these parts as well. So like I said, I've got it right side up. this time. On a nice helpful part of glue. Press him in. Kind of push him up. I kind of making sure there's kind of want this to be kind of square on this one. So on these mini pegs, I'll show you this one. You can kind of notice what I tend to do is all the time is I just cut them. I slide down and it just opens up the clamping coverage area we've got. So as I can say, push him up. Let's take a peg either side. Turn him over. I said not really meant to be opened up this wide, but it does the job. Okay, so one of the good things I like about using these this glue is be dry in 5 minutes. Okay, so the bottom section of this jig's dried. I've just glued on the jig tail for the right aileron. So now I'm just going to glue on the left one. So like I did before, just taking some of this little wood glue, just applying it around the bottom. Just pop it into this section there. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this little square I made, just pop him halfway across there. Just take another clamp it along the bottom. Just adjust it, make sure it's all nice and tight in the corners, and that's fine. And then what I normally tend to do is just run a bit more glue just along this back edge. Okay, so can be left to dry. Okay, so I've cut out a couple of these parts that we need for moving on. And like I say, if you see a section where you can see the kind of jig number, the part number, don't worry about it too much, because obviously that means it's going to be kind of cut away, because it's kind of like a jig that we cut all this away. So like I say, if you see any of the little letterings, don't worry about it, because you're going to tend to cut them away. But all I've been doing is just obviously just giving them a little, taking some of this little sandpaper and just buffing the face. When I say on this edging, I'm not quite sure about this, but obviously because I'm assuming that we've got loads of like a little 0.3 by 4mm capping, so I think all this gets capped off. But even if it doesn't, I think I'll do that rather than try and sand all this, because you can lose quite a little bit of material. So all I could do a bit later on is obviously some of these ones that you can see, just wrap it, like band it in a little 0.3 material. Okay, so moving on to stage 5 of these instructions. It's asked us to take this part. This is part A29. I've already cut this out and folded this one, but I'll fold the next one so you can see. And that's just going to slip over this part, and just kind of just keep pushing along until they all line up. So I'm going to be using this 60-second super glue, just so we have a little bit more play, a little bit more time to move things about. And just rub it just across his face. So I'm just going to take this part again and just slide him over. And just move it and manipulate it around a little bit, just before the glue is fully set. And that's that one. Okay, so I'm on part B42. This obviously, these on this photo edge section, these are numbered. So just kind of look around. That's 41, so 42. It's got to be on here somewhere. It's there, 42. Like I say, so sometimes you can like cut these through on a ceramic tile, but I think they cut okay just on the cutting mat. So all I'm doing is just pushing the knife right up against the tab and just cutting it off. Just keep spinning around Just keep cutting it off. Okay, so I'm going to fit this part just cut out. And like I say, there's a couple of ways of doing these, and sometimes you can actually fold them on the part, which works out quite good. But obviously, if you had like one of the expensive folding tools, that's obviously works really well. But I don't have one of them, so what I'm going to do is show you how you can kind of fold it on the part. So I'm going to apply a little bit of super glue. That's this bottom section first. Make sure your part's facing the right direction. Then kind of get it, and then put it right to the end on that part, and just make sure that the seam line is down either side, right in the middle, which it is. So as you can see, hopefully you can see you've got a seam line just running down there, so kind of always make sure it's dead on perfect. And then obviously once that's completely set, you kind of just get another piece. This is a piece of this, and then you can just bend it. And you can just bend it into your part. So then you just run some super glue down. Some super glue down the edge. And then you just get a couple of little mini pegs we've been using. Make sure it's all pressed in nice and level. Trying to squeeze your peg in. Okay, so I'm just gonna take these pegs off now. It should be enough to dry it. Super glue. I did exactly the same on the other side. Just get it and nip them together. Like I say, and sometimes if you can, that's what I really like to do, is actually fold them on the part. A lot of the times you can't, but if you can, then I always think it works better. Just taking the super glue, just running it behind the edge. And then just same again, just squeeze the parts, make sure that they line up. Get your peg again. Put another peg on this time. Let's get one on the back edge. And then that's that one done. Okay, so I've got to do it pretty much exactly the same on the L2. So I'll do this off camera and then we'll come back. Okay, so this next piece, this little tail jig's nice and set now. So I've still got a little bit of spring in this jig, but I think it'll come out when we start putting all these little frames in. Okay, so moving on to I think we're on step 6 in the instructions. Yeah, so taking this part that we also added these little photo etch parts to. This is the A1, and that's just going to fit inside the L1. That's just going to fit in this L1 section of the jig. And like I say, if it's a bit tight, all you need to do is just take your little file, dusting down the edges of the jig, and just open it up slightly. So what I'm going to do is going to put this L1 in. In fact, just going to get a little bit of glue first. Okay, so we've got some glue. I'm just going to paint it along the bottom of this L1A. I'm just going to pop that into the L1 slot. And same again, it's taking the second one that we fitted. These are the parts I fitted off camera. And this is the same again. That's just going to go into the L2 slot. Like I say, nice tight fit, but that's kind of what you want. You want it a nice tight fit. And just make sure they're pushed home nice and flat. And it should look just like that. Yeah, like I say, it's still a bit of spring in this jig, but like I say, when we kind of bring all these parts together, I can kind of take that out. Okay, so now we need to add this this L1B, and this kind of fits just over this section there. And I found this incredibly difficult to get this out of the sprue. Like I said, the laser cut parts are so gaudy, but it's like leaves like, well, it's like a hair. It cuts like a hair thickness. Yeah, so getting that out could be really, really difficult, really tricky. So next time I take one out, I'll show you how I remove that. What I say we'll need is just kind of brush a little bit of glue on this bottom part there. And these, where we fit these little photo edge parts, they just sit either side of that. And just kind of make sure we got nice and level. Okay, so I'm just going to take my square that I made myself. Just going to pop him on there. Put a clamp on this bottom. Make sure it's nice and flush. That's going to drop off. Just apply a little bit more glue. Just level it up again. Or best just level it from the front. That's okay. Get another clamp. Okay, but this time I'm just going to make sure I clean off any excess glue. And that's the first one, sat in place. Okay, so move on to this next part. This is L2B. Like I say, there's no number on this at all, so you know this is going to be kind of like all left on, nothing cut away. And we've got these two little slots at the bottom of that. And what's on this first part, I didn't actually realise, but we had two little raised little triangles. So that's designed that these are just going to fit directly over these two photo edge parts and over them triangles that we fitted. So same again, I'm just going to apply, in fact, because it's got this photo edge section, I think I'll super glue this part in. So I'm just going to take some super glue, just rub over that little triangle and run a bit down both sides of this photo edge parts. Do the same on the other side, a bit down either side, a little bit over this triangle. Get at the bottom of this part, just rub a bit of super glue just down there. And then this part can go anyway, and then this part just slides over them, slides over that, drops into these two triangles, and we kind of just hold this kind of square best we can. Like I say, we'll probably square this up when we start to add the like the rib binders. I'll just put that on, that's actually cut square, so I'll pop that on there. Let's get one more in the bottom. Okay, that's all clamped off on that first section. Okay, so pretty much I think I'll leave it there today. I think I made quite a good start. I don't really look like much at the minute, but it will start to get there. Like I said, when we come back, like I said, I might do some tomorrow. Kind of get ahead on the videos for the new year. Yeah, so when we come back tomorrow, I'll carry on with the next steps. Let's just add in a lot more of these ribs all the way to tail. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this this Patreon exclusive video. Like I say, it won't be one of the ones where they say, oh, it's Patreon exclusive and then it'll be on YouTube next week. That's definitely a Patreon exclusive. But then, like I say, right at the end when it's completely built, then when I'll just put it on a YouTube on charge. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you all again soon.